fire away. It's your floor.
All right, hello Jed. Welcome to the second stage of this project. So I'm going to ask you a series of semi-structured interview questions, and this process will take about 30 to 45 minutes. All your details and your responses to this interview are going to be kept anonymous, and I am bound under the code of ethics from BASES. If you have any questions before you start, you're more than welcome to ask. If not, we'll just get started right away.
Please proceed.
Right, so if you can remember, what was your first experience of a golfing holiday, and are there any memories which stand out in particular?
Oh gosh, first experience, I can remember it very clearly. It was in Portugal, and it was 1982. The sun was shining, the courses were great, fantastic memories. So that was flying from Lancashire, from Manchester to the Algarve, and played the likes of Villamora, Quinta do Lago, a couple of others, but it was a great opening to golf travel.
Perfect. As we mentioned previously, so you have been on a golf holiday, and in this questionnaire element, you'll have clarified which sort of continents you'd been to. That's one of the first questions. Can you clarify exactly which areas you've been to? I know you've just done so in the first question, but are there any other countries which were in that area?
I've played golf in the USA,
hmm
and I've played golf in Ireland and the UK. I've played golf in Spain as well.
Was there any of those countries that stand out as a favourite, or some that you would never go back to?
For me, Northern Ireland is the best for me. The others are good. I mean, the American offering is different. It's not quite as personal and friendly as other places. Even when you think you're playing a quality course, it's what can I say? It just doesn't have that accommodation, that feel to it. You feel like you're on a conveyor belt,
Yeah. Okay, so I've noticed in the questionnaire there was a question about going to a golf holiday in the Far East, and I'd noticed that you ticked the no section. What was the main reason for that?
For me, it's not really been on my radar, on my list of things to do at the moment. The cost, the length of travel, it's quite a journey to get there. You know that it's going to be something like 9-10 hours on a plane, maybe more. And really, the perception of the course isn't quite what I want. I like to play on a traditional style course. That those are my feelings. I'm sure it'd be great. I think for the food, the culture, the heritage, and the weather,
Yeah.
I think there's some great facets there. But the actual golf, there's nothing to say you must play this course.
Are there any countries specifically in the Far East that deter you from that, or is it just the whole idea in general?
I wouldn't say I'm deterred. I'm open to it, but there are lots of other courses to do before you go to the Far East. There's classic courses in the UK, and even the likes of courses in Belgium. Catch my eye first as a priority. I think.
Mm, that makes sense. So how often would you go on a golf holiday?
I would go on a golf holiday. Try and go once a year.
Okay, does the time of the year influence, particularly when you'd go?
Quite often, I think about playing in an event, so
Yeah.
that could have a bearing on it. But no, the time of year is just between. Well, yes, it does. It does. Yeah, you don't want to go before May time because the growing season hasn't kicked in fully. So you can be away in May, and you can have an Arctic wind, blowing in your face. So really, right up to mid-October.
Would you say that you go on golf holidays as enough, so as much as you like, or do you think you'd want to go on more?
Oh, I'd want.
To get, yeah,
I'd want to go on more. Hopefully, God willing, in time to come, you'd want to just nip over to the UK, and again playing events. That's my thing. is to compete. I think that's the best way, because otherwise it can turn into a bit of a party.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to look at sort of formulating a golf holiday. So when you do go on a golf holiday, what are the main sort of drive factors for you?
The quality of the course, an event, and really I'm not too concerned about the quality of accommodation. I think having some sort of, not nightlife, it's not like the local nightclub scene and what have you. I think you're just thinking nice pub, simple food, that kind of thing.
So to what sort of extent would you say competing does have an effect on your decision to go on a golf holiday then?
For me, a lot.
Yeah. Is that playing sort of events with friends, or is this with outside of that?
To go away with a group of people is good. The size of the group doesn't matter, but I think actually going there with a purpose is what I like. Right, just playing for fun between yourselves, I get that, but I think with having a competitive edge and each year goes by, like your form maybe dips a bit, or you think, oh, how many more years I've got playing at this level? So those are factors that are in my mind.
That makes sense. So I think a few more aspects. So do you ever really think about using a golf holiday as maybe a break from work?
I'm quite fortunate, really, because golf is part of what I do. But yeah, any time away from the Isle of Man is a break. Any time where you're not, checking emails and having to do your daily kind of duties, your administration. Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
So I noticed you said before that you like the quality of the courses and that. So is that just quality, or are you more about playing new and different styled courses?
No, I would be going for history and heritage every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
You got any examples of any courses that would stand out for that reason that you've played already?
Yeah. So you'd look at the northwest coast. You'd look at Birkdale, Hoylake, Formby, Hillside, Southport, and Ainsdale. Those courses, and then naturally in that area, you've got like not the Division 2 courses, but other hallmarked links that you can just tick off the list.
Makes perfect sense. I noticed you said before that you didn't, when you go on a golf holiday, you want it to be for a purpose. And I guess for that reason, to what extent does really nightlife and outside factors play a big role in your holidays?
I think some tasty food and some good drink, but really, and I'll be absolutely brutal here, I don't want to stay out late, because it can affect your game the following day. Not too late. Once you hit that midnight mark, and you might be lubricated somewhat. I think it can have a knock-on effect the next day, and I'd rather be looking forward to the game.
Yeah, so the competing aspect's the main part for you.
Yeah, or if you're not competing but you've paid good money to play a course, so you don't want to be paying some hard-earned cash and you've got a sore head.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, right. So looking at a different factor. So when you go on a golf holiday, a lot of people like to collect stuff. They like to come back with head covers and all these different things. What's important to you? Is it more just the experience of being there and forgetting sort of about bringing stuff back, or is collecting items a big part, or do you see them as quite equal?
I think you'd always bring a memento of some sort. And the problem is pitch mark repairers and markers. You lose them, so maybe a cap or a shirt if it's good. Head cover, no, I've never had the need to do that. I think they look a bit tacky if they've come from a resort.
So looking at the experience of a holiday, and a golf holiday especially, what sort of outside factors are going to influence on that?
Oh, right, okay. Transport from the airport to where you're going. I think
Okay, yeah.
that's important. So, the good thing is when you fly into Dublin, it's quite easy to get around. Ireland is simple. If you fly into Belfast, it's the same. Before you know it, you're on the road out. So that's good.
And what factors would you say of the golf side is what influences your experience?
It. Oh, you mean the actual course, or?
It can be any part of the golf at all.
I mean, really, I think it's the traditional side of things. It's going to a course that's well maintained. I call them stadium courses,
Yeah,
where the greens and the bunkers are big, but they've been in existence, for 100 years. They've accommodated, they've hosted major winners. So, you play Birkdale and there's a plaque from where there was a great shot played and things like that. But on saying that, if you look at somewhere like the Belfry, where had Ryder Cups and steeped in that kind of history, I've got
yeah,
no interest at all because the course is too modern.
yeah. Makes
I prefer the linksy, terrain. Nature's a big thing. Where you're playing a course and you might see some birds of prey around. Things
yeah,
like
more of
the
an
flora
outlook.
and the fauna. Are of interest, and those are memories that you bring back with you.
A lot of the courses nowadays, you say, are very modern, and they're all starting to go back that way to like the rough British Isles style courses. You say they're the ones that you find the best and give you the best experience?
Yeah, because you know that when you're in Spain and Portugal, really they don't want the visitors to be hunting around in the rough.
Hmm.
So if you hit it in the trees, you'll find the ball because there's no rough underneath, and you can execute your shot, and you're not holding up play because in those places it's conveyor belt golf, in that they want you in on the course and round and in the clubhouse, and it seems to be a little bit sterile, that kind of
Yeah.
style.
Okay, so we'll just look at some more sort of important aspects. These are the important aspects of like a golf resort. So less about the actual holiday, but more about the resort itself and to what parts of this would influence your decision to go there. So first we'll look at to what degree would you say sort of the climate and the weather around that resort is going to give you a reason to go.
Right, okay. I think nobody enjoys the rain
Hmm.
and the wind and cold air, but we have got the kit to protect yourself against that. Playing in mega hot conditions where you're sweating, or I tell you, if you're playing at midday where it's the worst time of day to play at all, when it's summertime, there's no enjoyment at all. You
Yeah.
lose. You just everything's too bright. You'd be better off playing in the evening time. So weather is only a factor in that you play when it's not winter. There's that. So it's between May to October in the UK. But the beauty of playing in Portugal and Spain is that season can be extended, can't it? You can go into
Yeah.
just into November, or you can just start in March. Just get those months a little bit extra to your season. So
Yeah.
that's really it. But to go away at winter time, say if you went away in January, that would be appealing actually. Come to think of it.
Okay, so we'll also say here we'll look at so what sort of degree would the overall cost of the holiday influence on your decision to visit somewhere?
Yeah, to a great degree. I think you have steps on the ladder really of what you're prepared to pay.
Mhm.
And I think that, for a week, you're thinking, okay, £1,500, maybe, all in £2,000. Those kind of levels, and I think a lot of golfers, feel the same. I think for a 3-day break, all in £1,000, £800, that kind of thing. Depends what you're playing, what you're doing, but cost it is a factor. Yeah.
Do you think paying? I mean, a lot of people that did the questionnaires were sort of hovering around the 500 to 1,000 mark for even like a 7-day holiday. Do you think paying more is better to get the better courses and the ones that are going to give you those memories?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as you get older, you appreciate that. So I've got an option to go to Pebble Beach next year.
Oh, yeah.
And play some other great courses. And I think it's going to cost about 4,000, I think, for myself. So you just bite the bullet, don't you? I mean, £4,000 is of use to anyone, isn't it? It's a lot of money. But I think it's about sampling experiences where you've only got one crack at it in your life, and I think just to tick them off. So on my mind, I think, right, I've got to do Scotland, some of the big courses there, even if it's just one or two, just to get them under your belt.
Yeah. What sort of degree would you say travel packages have? Is there, we always look out for them, or are they just a bonus when it comes to looking at?
Yeah, I think with that, it takes out the work of the organizer, and so you can press a button, you can pay, and all you've got to do is turn up at the airport, and there's an airport transfer the other end, your hotel is sorted, and your golf and tee times are booked, and really that is worth a lot, because to a good golf tour operator, you can tell them, you could say, we want to play golf at around about 10 in the morning. We want to get picked up at 8:30 because we want to go to the course early, just have a practice putt or go for a coffee. And then when we finish the round at 2 or 3, pick us up at 6 because we'll be having a few beers on the veranda. Having that flexibility to get someone to do things, and you've got that apt assurance, you always look for that. But doing it yourself, it means you've got to get the tee times at the club, and that isn't always easy. So, because that the golf tour operator will have a relationship with the hotels and the golf courses, and if they provide a transport service, that's the icing on the cake.
Perfect. To what degree would you say buggies and caddies influence your decision?
For me, buggies just ruin the experience. I think a caddy, and I think it's the one thing that sort of gets my interest, is that if you did go to the Far East, it's the caddy, isn't it? The notorious caddies, where your shoes are cleaned and your clubs are cleaned and you'll never lose a ball. And the reputation is that they're supposed to be, second to none for that kind of service. But ethically, there are some questions about that, and that's always been at the back of my mind. Whereas in Great Britain, if you get a caddy on one of the big courses, they've seen it and done it all before. Quite often it's someone who's retired. It doesn't seem to be as intrusive, I think, as what the reputation is for elsewhere. But buggies, forget them. You need, if you've got a mobility problem, great. But for your, if you're massively hungover, maybe. But for me, no.
And then the last one is, what sort of degree would the accommodation and the catering have overall on your influence?
Right. Cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
and food that you can that's natural, local ingredients, local provenance, cooked well. Doesn't have to be Michelin starred. I'm not fussed about that, but I think the best thing about a golfing holiday is when you've had your game and you sat down with your travelling, companions,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have that pint and a bite to eat, and it's when you really relax, isn't it? And the golf holiday feeling kicks in, and that's what's important about golf holidays is it's not just about hitting a ball round 18 holes. It is about that trigger where you can genuinely unwind and get away.
Perfect. So now we're just going to have a little talk about sort of the Far East and their tourism development. So a lot of the LEDC countries have experienced this rapid growth as they have begun to develop. So how important would you find sort of the economic growth of a country, so say China, for example, on their development in golf tourism?
I find that interesting,
Hmm.
but not enough to go out and experience it. So the perception I would have of China would be pollution, busy, language issues, soulless, travelling a long way. Why would you go and play golf there? If you're going to travel there, you might as well go and see the great attractions, the great artifacts.
Hmm.
Why would you play golf on a course that might not even match what we've got on the Isle of Man?
Makes perfect sense. Do you think sort of events slash kind of like the Olympics when I was in Beijing 2012, I think it was. Do you think big events like that have played a role in developing their sort of overall tourism and sports tourism?
Yes, I think the Olympics in 2008 were an eye opener.
Hmm.
Certainly, and since then, we're aware of the rapid economic growth that China's had. But for someone like myself, I see a country that is overpopulated. It'd be busy. Pollution is always at the back of my mind. But unless you've been there, you'll never know really. I'd actually prefer to go to Japan. I find that a little bit more interesting, especially their approach to golf, which seems pretty funky in there. Because I've handled Japanese tourists here, and the way they dress and the way they conduct themselves is hilarious. They're so colourful and bright and enthusiastic, whereas China, and this is say through the media, you just think that there's people that are suppressed.
Yeah.
And that kind of that doesn't sit well with me. I think it's about the people when you go away, but that's my perception. I'm probably totally wrong.
Do you think there's any other kind of locations that have experienced that development sort of quickly in terms of golf
Oh,
outside the Far
well,
East?
I mean, the number one thought that springs to mind is Turkey,
Yeah.
and where I've not been, I've had no real desire to go, but I handle a lot of people that do go to Turkey. So that is where you get in for £1,500,
Yeah.
all inclusive, 7 days, 5 rounds of golf, and when they say all inclusive, that's your booze and your
Yeah.
food, and you're staying in a hotel that's modern, marbled, clean.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit like a gated resort. I don't think there's encouragement to go into the local town or city. So I've not been, but that's my perception of it, that you would play some courses and have fun, but I think there's a little bit of restriction on that as yet. And there's a perception, of going to a country like Turkey that might not sit well with everyone.
Okay. So do you think that tourism is going to need to become a lot more eco-friendly over the next sort of, say, 5 to 10 years in the future?
I think air travel is going to be under the spotlight
Hmm.
for a start, so that could enhance the local, the UK market. I
Yeah.
think air travel is going to be more expensive anyway, just by the nature of COVID. But the good thing is about golf courses is they are eco-friendly, and they do host, little plantations of trees, and it is a way to offset carbon emissions in a small way. But it's not just about carbon elements; it's about nature, and it's about preserving green spaces. So golf courses have a big part to play, and I think with the promotion of health and well-being and having people who are of a senior age playing right into their 80s and maybe beyond, I think that's great. There's only big benefits there.
So when you said you think golf tourism or golf courses in general are clean, what do you think about the whole chemical use and water use? I know that's very big in America.
Yeah,
Um, what would you say? What's your opinion on that?
well, I know about glyphosate being, taken off the list of chemicals, so that was a big step. You have to assume that responsible actions have been taken, that the chemicals used are safe for the environment, for the players, and for the people that work there.
Yeah.
Environmentally, you can see that, by the nature of the equipment, that it will be more efficient. That's only natural progression. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's no overt statement to say that the local golf union or England Golf are actually taking serious steps about this. I've not
Hmm.
seen any press releases, but you would assume that that's the way ahead.
Do you think how do you think golf compares to the other forms of tourism out there?
Out in where?
Just anywhere in general, tourism in
Oh,
general.
right, okay. I always look towards Northern Ireland, and
Hmm.
where it's recognised that the golf, and it's on a par with Scotland,
Yeah.
where golf is a big driver in the local economy.
Hmm.
So, golf tourism. So, for instance, for a 3 night, 4 round break, I know for the
Hmm.
Isle of Man that brings £1,000 into the economy. So that's
Yeah.
so it's like, so your ferry fare, food and drink, golf, hotel, miscellaneous transport, things like that. Now, when you compare that to other groups of tourists, so your cyclists and your walkers, they're a completely different breed. So
Hmm.
it's well known that the golfers are eating and drinking machines, if you like.
Yeah. Big spenders outside of the golf.
They are, and so the likes of pubs, bars, and restaurants thrive on golf. So you look at areas like Royal Portrush. You look at areas in Southern Ireland where they've got some of these big courses. You look at the Gulf Coast in the northwest of England, where if you didn't have the golf, you'd be looking at millions and millions of revenue that just wouldn't be exchanged up there. So I think golf, is a big part of the tourism package.
Yeah. Can you think of any changes that you could possibly potentially could happen to golf tourism in the next, say, 5 to 10 years that would make it more eco-friendly?
More eco-friendly. That's a difficult question, because to the actual golfer,
Hmm.
the equipment, the tools of the trade, as it were, aren't really eco-themed, are they? You've
No.
got your own set of clubs and so forth. So getting to the course, getting to a course that maybe demonstrates that they are respecting, climate change and making every attempt to be carbon neutral. I think that could be an advantage So, for instance, a course, say was a partner of our Biosphere, or demonstrated that they've got a tree planting program to offset emissions, I think that'd be great. But I think in the actual mindset, it's about air travel, isn't it? I'd say that is it. If the biggest footprint you leave is the one that when you climb aboard an airplane.
So, what sort of extent do these environmental issues that are appearing now these days are actually impacting your decision to go away?
I would say at the moment, the influence would be the cost.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be a levy on transport, that's going to be a big issue. Personally, I'm not seeing that we're there yet that it would stop me flying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it. And of course, if there's an issue about personal safety on a course of myself or people that I'm with regarding the use of chemicals, obviously that would be a factor. But whether the clubhouse has got a dodgy boiler, I don't think that would inspire me to make any changes.
Perfect. So if you did ever go on a golf holiday to the Far East, so say it did ever come up onto your agenda, and you were looking at formulating a trip to go away, would you look at just visiting one country, or would you look at visiting an area, spending a longer time due to the travel time?
Oh, you know what? The thought of interconnecting flights with golf clubs pains me. In fact, travelling with a set of golf clubs, say to Thailand, if we talk about Thailand, I wouldn't do it. I'd hire a set of clubs out there. I just wouldn't want the stress of putting me clubs on the plane, because I'd have to get a hard case, so that's 120 quid. I absolutely love the kit that I've got in the bag. I love my driver. That's got an expensive shaft in it. So that the fear of any damage to that would be on my mind. So I think if I went to Thailand, I would just go there, play a bit of golf. But, and this is, I'm glad you've asked the question, because I wouldn't be thinking of it as a golfing holiday per se.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it'd be half golf and half fun.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be going with the usual crowd. You might be going with closer friends or family. But really, the golf would just be in 7 days. You might go, we'll just play for 3 days.
Just as like an add-on to the experience.
Yeah, I would. Unless, because I'm not aware of any real classic courses. I'm sure they're great and beautifully manicured. You hear tales of, the edges of the bunkers being snipped carefully with a pair of scissors, things like that. But
can you think of any sort of countries that you could group together in a package, maybe? Potentially.
Well, no, because it'd involve air travel between the destinations. So unless you are doing some kind of big tour, like a big tour where you did, China, Japan, it wouldn't be a golf holiday. It'd be a sightseeing trip with a bit of golf thrown in.
Do you think that holiday would last longer than a usual golf style holiday due to just the travel distances, maybe?
Without a doubt. I mean, now we're talking about it, you'd be thinking, well, I'm going to be spending significant money on airfare, so I might as well go the whole hog and stay out there a month.
Yeah, makes sense. So we're just going to look at sort of the promotion, the advertisement side, and the money side of these holidays. What forms of promotion personally have you seen for any golf holidays in the Far East?
I actually follow IAGTO, which is the golf tour operators group. So I do see that they have got quite a presence on there. but my attention hasn't really gone any further than that to look at it. Okay.
No.
So say I've had a list of golf tour operators on a page with the Far East and then Scotland, Northern Ireland, or Belgium.
Yeah.
I would go there. Or if there was something relating to North American classics, Pinehurst, Whistling Straits, Pebble Beach, I'd be, diverted, straight to there. So my awareness of golf in the Far East, is very limited.
Do you think some of these promotional methods are used less than others when advertising a golf holiday? Is there any that you think stand out, that you see more often?
For the Far East or general?
Yeah, Far East.
I don't really see it at all. I just don't see it, and I follow a lot of golf on Twitter, and I follow some certain Facebook groups. So Twitter is my go-to, and I just don't see anyone talking about it, recommending it. It's not something that, now I'm thinking back now, it's anonymous.
Do you think there could be a bit of an annoyance to the consumer sometimes if you get pop-ups all the time and emails constantly, that sort of thing?
Well, I think we've got to a point now where people are very suspicious of algorithms and what's being thrust at you. I think if you're interested in something, you'd go and find it, and you've just made me think about something. I had a golf tour group 2 years ago, some guys from Sheffield, 6 of them, and they had a bit of money, and they were raving about going to Thailand, and that is the only time I've really thought, oh, that's interesting, because they're really enthusiastic and quite chipper about it.
Do you think advertisements similar? So things online, social media, more not necessarily promotional things, more advertisement style. Do you think that's the same sort of trend?
Okay. If I was looking at a golf magazine, not that I do because I find them boring. I look at YouTube videos now. Really, that's me go-to, and I look at things that I'm interested in. So if I saw a golf magazine and a picture of a pretty-looking golf course in Phuket, or wherever, I think that's the only place that I know in Thailand. It wouldn't cause me to look further, for a golf experience, and I don't see it anywhere else. So maybe if there was an event there, PGA event, I might watch it then on TV or something that kind of floats my boat, so to speak.
Do you think some of these countries are being advertised and promoted more than others? Like you said, you mentioned Thailand. You think?
I tell you what's popping up is Saudi Arabia, isn't it? And there's a big effort there. So they had the event, where Dustin Johnson played, and they were probably getting paid huge appearance fees just to appear. So Saudi Arabia has definitely come up recently on the golfing front the last year or so, and of course, again, that raises a few questions about whether you'd like to go. I'm sure you'd feel uber safe and welcomed, but you look at the news and you look at Saudi Arabia, and there would be, you'd be asking the question, I think.
Do you think there's enough advertisement and promotion for these areas of the world, or do you think there could be a lot more done in that sort of aspect to push these holidays?
I think maybe the form of the advertising is wrong.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm an unusual customer. Maybe I'm too fussy. Maybe it's me. Maybe there are people out there who'll just go, I'll tell you what, we need to do a golf trip this year. Let's go there. We've not been there before. We've been everywhere else. A lot of golf tourists I look after, they're on 2 golf trips a year, and they like to try somewhere new. Societies that go all over the place. So regarding the question, in the places I look, I just don't see a great deal of advertising.
You think of any examples of ways they could maybe advertise or promote it?
Golf Channel, TV would be one, and I think that's where Saudi Arabia have popped up. I think Dubai is another one where they've hosted events, and of course that's part of the calendar for the for anyone that's interested in watching golf on TV. You know that during January you've got that time where you see these courses that don't look particularly good.
Yeah,
but you're certainly aware that you've got a winter option.
Okay, so do you typically think you'd spend more on a golf holiday than a regular holiday, say with your family?
Oh gosh, no. The family holiday is always a biggie, isn't it? You're taking people with you. If you want an ice cream, you got to buy 4. So it's the cost is quite significant.
Do you think the costs vary for the holiday? What's different in terms of the golf? Where does the money go for the golf holiday compared to the family holiday?
Well, the family holiday. So if you look back over the years, if you go to Disney, which is an experience, the kids will remember it forever, and you're looking at a big shipment of cash. But with a golfing holiday, you've got a bit more control, haven't you? If you're away, you're fending for yourself. You can choose your accommodation accordingly. Everyone is perhaps thinking, I've got a bit of a budget. You're not going 5-star. There's no need for that. So cost is an issue. But to compare the two is entirely different, because the beauty of the golfing holiday is that you've got a bit more control over what you spend. You know where you are. So I think the biggest outlay is for, if you choose a big course, Lytham St Anne's, where you can be looking at £180, to play.
Yeah. Do you think the concept of who you're going on these holidays with plays any role of how much you're going to spend, or do you think it doesn't really play much of an effect?
Yeah, if you're going away with a load of beer monsters, it can affect things dramatically, but we're all getting a bit old for that now. But yes, then that is why I like to play competitively. Just so, because what is the point of waking up in the morning with a head that's absolutely bouncing? How can you enjoy your game?
You're playing in the sun and places like that. It makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah. So that's a big factor, really.
Perfect. So that's the end of the interview, completely done. Thank you, Jed, very much for your time. If you've got any questions around the interview or have any queries about any aspects of the project in general, you can either ask them now, or if you want to contact me privately via my emails, that's fine. Again, thank you so much for your time, and all the best.
Thank you, Harry. Good luck with your studies and the outcome, and we look forward to you being a major feature in golf tourism in the future.
Thank you. Cheers.